A squirrel there been eating that apple. In fact, he dragged it across that post and tried to pull it up. And another one somewhere. It has arrived. It wants the post. I was quite surprised to see squirrels eat any apples. They're not interested in apples. More interested in nuts. Just keep all the bird feeders topped up. It's perishing weather. How they survive this, I have no idea, these little birds. But they do. Wow. Spring is approaching. The snowdrops are out. Well, it's time to do a little bit more in the garden. That's the rosemary. You see where the wind has smashed off some branches, but then again, there's enough rosemary there for the whole of the village, I would imagine. So it's not a major problem. And the bay tree which I chopped down, all the tender foliage which came late on, has all been burnt off by the frost. But the rest of it looks in a pretty healthy condition. So again, that's not a major problem. Just a quick look at the woodland. That little miniature spruce hanging on. These silver birches. In a couple of weeks' time you could tap these for birch sap. They do it a lot in Canada and Sweden. And then you heat it, boil off the water, or most of the water, you end up with a sweet sticky liquid. All this is to burn, but it's all wringing wet through, so it'll have to wait. And the woodpecker's been busy hammering nuts in this little hole here. The ground is absolutely strewn with nutshells. A hole buttered in them. And the other job that needs doing at this time of year, before the sap starts rising, is to prune the fruit trees. Again, it's not a hard job, but very time consuming. Well, that looks a lot better on this brow then, but I think this big branch at the bottom here needs taking off. which is not going to be very easy looking at that without hoping to treat a fungus. Well, just finished pruning this apple tree. It looks a lot better, and it's amazing how much stuff you take off. Lots more late snowdrops have appeared. They're a different variety, these. They're not fully out yet. And the hazel catkins are all coming out now. Well, the taken an absolute hammering in the with these winds we've had recently. So there aren't as many. Whether there'll be as many nuts or what, we just have to wait and see. Everything's still. Clear sound, distant rooks. At the bottom of this hedge, a big bank of periwinkle ground cover. They flower all the year round. Snowdrops out en masse. And as I explained earlier, this brownie apple tree, the branches aren't evenly distributed, and when they're laden with fruit, they're pulling the tree over, as you can see there. So these branches ought to take off, and the tree needs pulling up straight. So that's another job that needs doing. This is the Bromley cooking apple tree, and you can see it's got a terrible lean on it caused by this big branch, which I'm going to have to take off. But before that, I need to put a substantial post in there, tie the tree to it, and gradually over the year, hopefully, bit by bit, pull it vertical. Now to do that, obviously, I need a substantial post. Belted into this stony ground with a sledgehammer. pull it up as straight as I can without damaging it. Unfortunately split the post, that doesn't matter. The question is, will the tree pull the post over? Will the post stay where it is? To stop the tree being pulled over again, I need to take these two branches out, this one and this one, which when they're weighted down with apples they just pull the tree over, and they're a little bit big to cut. Normally when you're cutting branches off, you see there's a sort of collar here, and you cut it up to the collar, not cut into the collar, just cut it up to the collar, and the collar will produce a scab which seals the tree from fungus. These two branches are a little bit big for that, so I'll just cut them short later in the year. Well, that'll do in the garden for now. Well, bird feeder blown down in the gale. The gales we've had. It's broken at this point, halfway down the bottom pole. It's all rusted from the inside. I've had it for many, many years, I can't complain. But I thought I might be able to get a new bottom pole that I can't separate these two poles here, so decided to get another one. There we are, that's it, all set up. So I'll just cut that up and recycle it. Another job that needs doing is to strip back this Boston ivy. Otherwise next year it'll be all over the roof. It's an annual job. It's not a difficult job, just time consuming. And there's the squirrels. I've made a great big nest in this bird box. Absolutely stuffed it full of grass and moss. Well, today is cutting back the Boston ivy. It's the 17th of February. It's not a bad day, it's probably a good day for doing it. So only a once a year job. Anyway, let's crack on with it. Well, there we are, half of it's done. Just the centre do, and then the gable end. So it was very satisfying when you finish that. We'll see her job. That's one of the bigger jobs of the winter time, out of the way. Just in time, because the buds for this season are just beginning to break. Now it's just a case of gathering it all up. It's amazing how much there is. Well, that's half of it. The other half's around the corner. Well, nothing really to do with the garden or fishing, but I was down to my last supermarket large egg, and I just called into a local shop to get some local eggs, large eggs. I couldn't believe it, how big they are. That's the large egg from the supermarket. I would think they must be double yolkers, those. And there it is, a double yolker. I haven't seen a double yolker egg for years. It's the 2nd of March in the garden, and the green gauge blossom is beginning to appear. It's only 4 degrees Celsius today, freezing cold. The pond needs seeing too. This duckweed's beginning to appear, but lots and lots of leaves in the bottom there, which I'll rake out in a moment. I mean, too long. It needs cutting, but a cold wet day like today, I have to leave it. And also a reminder to sharpen the lawnmower blade. Well, I've removed the lawnmower blade to sharpen it. Unless it's in. I'm surprised it cut anything. Yeah, I think that's going to be a grinder on that. To sharpen that up, it won't take 2 minutes. Well, it's not ideal, but it's a lot better. At least it's sharp. With the odd dink, which you can't really get out without taking off a lot of metal. It's the 2nd of March. The wind is from the east. It's freezing. And back out in the garden. There are certain jobs that can't wait. One of the jobs is to remove these branches on these trees. Pulling the tree out of the vertical. And to that end, I bought a little chainsaw. These branches are a bit too thick for secateurs. There it is, a little chainsaw. Works a treat, battery powered. last year I put some dogtooth violet in this pot, and I thought the snails had eaten them all. But lo and behold, the flower has appeared, and a lot more leaves, these spotty leaves they've got. I must find somewhere to put them in the woodland. You can see the bluebells and red campions beginning to appear. Put on a better show this year, they look more vigorous. We had to plant them probably 3 years ago, so they are gradually picking up. The other thing I noticed is, once all the vegetation's died down, just how many little dead snails there are, how many snail shells there are. Everywhere. There are thousands of them. I've just taken the back of this gnarled roseberry bush. It's just beginning to shed the hedge, which I don't want. And just trimmed the tops off so it doesn't grow too high. Job to do in the shed. All these are rotten. All these are rotten. So they need replacing. But it's not a big job, that. We haven't removed all the sort of branches that needed removing, getting in the way of things. We've pruned all the fruit trees. The next thing is to tackle these brambles. It's a job I'm not very keen on. It's really thorny. You need to remove all this dead stuff, which was the main flowering branches of last year. That looks a lot better. Well, that's it all piled up ready to burn. I'll just leave it to dry off for a few days. Let the winds in the right direction and set fire to it. It's the 16th of March and the grass is not quite dry, but dry enough to cut. And that's the job of the day. It's grown really quite long and it's still very wet in the bottom, but I'll just take the top off. So I've just wheeled the lawnmower out from the garage, and as always at this time of year, will the blooming thing start. see the difference. And of course with the grass being so long, when you take the top off, and underneath is sort of yellowy green. The other thing is, of course, that the moss takes advantage of the wet conditions. But hopefully when I get it knocked back, there'll be a lot less moss in it. You see the moss there. In fact, more moss than grass. But the motto for this year is going to be green is good. So I'm not going to worry about it. Well, it all looks a bit rough at the moment, but it'll soon green up. I'll just lower the cut for the next one. So, the next bit. And then through the gate, the woodland paths. It'll probably take me another hour and a half. It'll probably take me another hour and a half to do this. But it's always nice when it's done. Well, let's see. The biggest part of it all done. All looking decidedly yellowy green down there. And just in time, it's just beginning to spit with rain. So I'll just take the lawnmower and go around the woodland paths, pick up all the debris, leaves and nutshells and whatever else is up there. It'll probably take me half an hour, but that'll be it. It's Monday the 18th of March and spring starts on Wednesday the 20th. So this is the last job of the winter. Is to rotivate this little plot. So this blooming rotivator starts. So you see it's really stony ground. So the first job to do is to pick up as many of these larger stones before we set off. They don't do the rotivator tines any good. Just notice the rhubarb is beginning to appear. So I need to avoid that with a rotivator. I don't want to go through that chewing it all to bits. Well, I've picked up most of the big stones. I mean, I've been doing this on this plot for 20 years. Every year it doesn't get any better. Anyway, we're all ready to go now. Let's hope this machine starts. Well, that's it all done. Just left the strawberry patch and the asparagus. That's really pleasing. Well, it's going to be a good display of snake's head frituras this year. Oh, lots of them. The bluest of blue on these anemones. Wonderful. Well, it's 20th of March. Tomorrow, that's the first day of spring. So, this will be the last little bit of video on the garden in wintertime. So, I'll see you later in the year. Take care. Bye-bye. Enjoy your gardening.